Well, we're going to start with Baltimore and Buffalo, and I think this is obviously a great game, fun game to start with on Sunday night, but I think the wide receivers are a little bit difficult here for starts and sits, in my personal opinion. So question for Baltimore at Buffalo, who is the best wide receiver in this game? Let's assume they all play.
I'll take Zay Flowers.
I'll say Zay Flowers by 20 spots.
Oh, all right. Expand on that briefly, and then we'll get into it more in depth when we get to the game in a minute.
I just think this idea that Keon Coleman's emergence, and I'm assuming Coleman plays. If not, then Shakir would be much closer to Flowers. But what they did last year was just feature no one in the passing game. Josh Allen's still awesome, but they don't throw a whole lot. They'll probably throw more in this game than they do most throughout the year. But if Shakir's 100%, then he's probably going to see 7 targets, and Dalton Kincaid's probably going to see 5 or 6, and that probably means 5 or 6 for Keon Coleman. One of those guys scores a touchdown and is a top 36 wide receiver. Maybe 2 of them does, but I don't know which one it's going to be going into each week.
Okay, look, we're going to expand on this game shortly. Cincinnati's at Cleveland. Which quarterbacks would you bench for Joe Flacco? You'd start Joe Flacco over who, Jamey?
None of the top tier guys. So like CJ Stroud. The only one that would be close for me is Justin Fields, of the guys that were drafted in the top 12 range, because I'm terrified of Fields. He gets off to slow starts every year, and facing the Steelers, they don't do the running quarterbacks are terrible against Mike Tomlin. So Fields could be an absolute disaster this week, and I think Flacco could go nuts. So that's the closest one, but I don't have it ranked that way.
My closest one is Jared Goff, and I have Goff ahead of him. They're back to back. But if interceptions didn't hurt you, I'd probably start Flacco over Goff.
And we said yesterday Goff has bad history in Green Bay. Is that right?
His last 3 games in Lambeau Field, I think it's like under 16 fantasy points per game.
Okay.
He does not have a 20-point game in Lambeau the last 3 years.
Carolina at Jacksonville. Question for this game. Bonanza?
Bonanza.
Definitely has the ability to be a bonanza, yes.
Carolina.
Now you've ruined it.
Do you know that this is fun fact? You like these trivia stuff. This is Trevor Lawrence's first home opener on week 1.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, so Carolina allowed the most points in football last year. Jacksonville 5th most. Obviously, Jacksonville drafted Travis Hunter, so hoping their secondary will get a lot better. They added nickel cornerback Jordan Lewis to their secondary, and Carolina is getting, I don't know, their best defensive player back. Derek Brown, defensive tackle, missed almost all of last year with a knee injury. So hopefully they're better, but not that much better because we want a lot of points in this game. Would you start Travis Hunter or Zay Flowers?
Hunter.
I think Travis Hunter is one of the most difficult players to rank in fantasy this week. I've got Flowers just ahead of him, but if I can understand for the fun of it and the upside of it, wanting to start Hunter.
I am concerned that Travis Hunter is going to be one of the most difficult players to rank every week. if he's in the 60% snap share range on a weekly basis, I don't know that's going to happen. I'm just saying that obviously it's possible.
I don't think I think my expectation is he's not going to give people a difficult decision in leagues where you start 3 wide receivers and a flex. You're just going to start them every week, and you'll take your lumps and you'll take your smashes. He might be really difficult in leagues that are 2 wide receivers and a flex.
All right, the Raiders are at the Patriots. Start or sit Travion Henderson?
Start.
Probably start. He's RB23 for me.
Okay. A running back scored 14.5 or more PPR fantasy points in basically 2/3 of the games against the Raiders. They were a really good matchup for running backs last year. Pittsburgh's at the Jets. Who's the best running back in this game?
In real life?
In fantasy.
Jaylen Warren.
I have Brees 1 spot ahead of Warren. They're 20 and 21.
Okay, just ahead of Travion Henderson for you.
Just ahead of Travion Henderson.
Wow, Sportsline has it 6 spots.
Okay, Sportsline has Warren 20th and Brees Hall 26th. And I can't imagine we're starting Braylon Allen or Caleb Johnson this week. So we're Kenneth Gainwell. The Colts are the Dolphins are at the Colts. Starters at Jalen Waddle.
I kind of like Jalen Waddle this week. So better than Hunter, better than Flowers, better than any Bills receiver. He's in that. Well, he would be in the blob essentially. You have no practice time with Tyreek Hill. Not that they need to develop rapport. You have maybe a limited Devon Achane, and you have no tight end right now potentially with Darren Waller dealing with a hip injury, and obviously no Jonnu Smith. So it could be fun for the Dolphins offense this week on the turf in Indianapolis.
Start him.
I really hope this extends into a good start to the season. You got the Colts, the Patriots at the Bills, Jets at the Panthers. I think it's a pretty doable start to get off to a hot start for the Dolphins. So fingers crossed. Starts this week against the Colts, who did add 2 pieces to their secondary in safety Cam Bynum and cornerback Charvarius Ward. And finally, Tennessee is at Denver. All right, so we're talking 3 running backs and let's say 3 receivers, including Mims. Rank the flex options in this game. Tennessee at Denver. It'll be the last game we talk about.
Sutton 1. I go Harvey 2, Pollard 3, Ridley 4, and
Mims
5.
Wait, I feel like I'm missing one. Dobbins.
Oh, I'm sorry. Sutton 1, Harvey 2, Pollard 3, Dobbins 4, Ridley 5, Mims 6.
I would swap. So yeah, Sutton, then Pollard, then Harvey, then probably Ridley, then Dobbins.
Okay.
And I'm not starting anybody else.
Ridley is probably the guy who's in the sit. He's the image on the sit column this week.
Yes, 100%. It's you got rookie quarterback on the road, Patrick Surtain, great defense all around. Like it could be miserable for this team this week.
It could be. Does it bother you at all for RJ Harvey on the other side that the Titans allowed the fewest receiving yards to running backs last year?
It's not an ideal setup for him, but the fact that they may have the ball so much in a home game where he's going to hopefully get enough touch. It's really just, I'm not so much worried about the defense. It's, will the playing time be skewed? So I'm hoping what we saw in preseason starts to play itself out this week.
He's not a top 24 running back for me. He's behind Hampton, who I said was 25. So, but he's a high upside flex or a high upside low end RB2.
Okay. And Pollard, we're hoping for a lot of carries. It is a really tough matchup. Remember, the Titans signed 2 offensive linemen at the start of free agency, so they're hoping to be good there. Pollard got a ton of touches when Tyjae Spears was out. What can he do with those touches against what was one of the best run defenses in football last year? We'll find out.
He's one of the toughest players for me to rank.
Pollard?
Yeah, because situation's great, but matchup is awful. Scenario is awful.
Yeah, I don't know if people want me to do this. I have a team with 3 of the guys that we're talking about, and I'm making these decisions. I have Harvey, Pollard, Sutton, and Pacheco. And right now, Harvey's on the bench. I started Pacheco and Pollard and Sutton over him.
Yeah, I would bench Pacheco.
I would bench Pacheco.
Nope, not happening.
I mean, it's one of your flag plan guys.
Well, it's half PPR, not full PPR. I don't know if that matters.
The nice thing is if you drafted Pacheco as a 4th running back, you don't have to play him.
Right? You're going to win the bench points tiebreaker. Okay. Now it's time for coverage you can count on, sponsored by Nationwide. We need a DST to stream this week, guys. Jamey, who's our DST streamer of the week?
If Calvin Ridley is the poster child for sits, then the Cardinals DST is the poster for streaming defenses because the matchup could not get any better. Maybe I guess if they were in Arizona as opposed to in New Orleans. I mean, they're basically a touchdown favorite on the road, which tells you all you need to know about what Vegas thinks of this Saints team and this Saints offense, most likely with Spencer Rattler, who I believe had 9 turnovers in 7 appearances last year. So there's plenty of opportunities here for them to create some mistakes. Now, listen, Rattler did not have Chris Olave and Rashid Shaheed in the 4 games that he started. I think maybe Shaheed got hurt in the first game, but didn't have him for the majority of the time. So there is potential that this could go not the way we're hoping for. But just based on what was available to you on waivers or last pick in your draft, the Cardinals DST just was screaming, take me, take me, take me, and start me this week because of the matchup against Saints.
All right, and they get the Panthers next week, so we'll see that. That could be a matchup you keep them for. We'll see how maybe the Panthers just have a huge game against the Jaguars, and we don't feel that way. But Arizona DST, 52% rostered. And that.
Here we go. The 2025 CBS Sports NFL schedule is here. 18 glorious Sundays.
He's got his receiver touchdown.
Filled with rematches.
Oh, the play of the year.
And rivalries.
Touchdown, Bengals.
Plus, plenty of superstar showdowns. And an epic matchup between the Chiefs and Cowboys on Thanksgiving. Clear your Sundays beginning September 7th for the NFL on CBS and Paramount Plus.
One question for 7 games. Tampa Bay at Atlanta. Atlanta allowed the 3rd most fantasy points to opposing wide receivers. Jamey, start or sit Emeka Egbuka this week?
He's a definite starter in 3 receiver leagues. If you need him as a starter in 2 receiver leagues, I would be perfectly fine with it. He's just outside the top 24 for me. And I think in 2 receiver leagues and a flex, he's going to be one of your high-end flex options. So I would love to start him this week if you can.
Okay, Detroit at Green Bay. Are we really sitting Jared Goff, Dave Richard?
I think it's not the worst idea in the world to sit Jared Goff. It depends on who else you have. I think there's just more upside for Drake May against Las Vegas. Although the thought of a backup left tackle against Max Crosby, it's already bad enough that it's a rookie left tackle against Max Crosby. That's not so good. But other quarterbacks like Trevor Lawrence, Tua against Indy, Brock Purdy, I think there's just a little bit more upside. There's going to be plenty of weeks where we're going to trust Jared Goff. I just feel like this first game, new play caller on the road against Green Bay with Micah Parsons, and we've known for years that the kryptonite for Jared Goff is pass rush pressure. When he's under pressure, he's not the same guy. Makes me a little bit nervous.
Yeah, I'm sure we're going to get to this stat, but the last 3 years at Green Bay for Jared Goff, 9.5 fantasy points. That was a Week 18 game at Green Bay. But 2023, 13.4, 2024 fantasy point, 2024, 11.6 fantasy points at Green Bay, only through 22 passes.
I don't care about the at Green Bay part as much as I care about just the situation now. And this Green Bay pass rush is going to be right up there as one of the best in the league with Parsons on the field.
Obviously, I agree with that. I think if any wide receiver or whatever, fantasy relevant player missed all of training camp, had a back issue, and he has a legitimate back issue, got traded to a new team, we probably would not think he's just going to show up and be great in week 1.
Well, there's a difference, though.
Yes.
You're starting a player in your fantasy lineup that's coming off an injury. You're talking about he's going to have a handful of plays,
Call it 20 plays.
I was going to say, yeah, if that's the number, like they're going to be on almost obvious pass down situations or 4th quarter plays where they need somebody to go out and try and make a play. Like they're going to be smart about it. So that's not the best comparison I would use is a guy coming back that you're trying to put in your fantasy lineup versus a guy that's going to be limited that you are just, could be a game wrecker.
I'm just, well, okay. I guess I'm just saying I don't expect the best version of Micah Parsons.
Oh, I totally agree. But this would be a little bit of a struggle for Goff if Parsons wasn't added to the mix. Now you're putting that on top of it. So stadium where he hasn't played well. Dave mentioned it, new play caller, 2 new offensive linemen, so it's a lot of things at play here for Jared Goff that if this was like, okay, Patrick Mahomes, he's going in with a new offensive line, down one of his best weapons, facing a very good defense. I'm not worried about Patrick Mahomes at the same level I'm worried about Jared Goff because of where those guys were drafted and my expectations for him. And Goff was better than Mahomes last year. But the expectations going into the season, I drafted Mahomes as the top 6 quarterback. Goff was in the mix somewhere between 10 and 15.
And that's where he is this week. You guys have Jared Goff 15th. All right. Next up, San Francisco at Seattle. What are your thoughts, Jamey, on the San Francisco wide receivers?
I'm starting Ricky Pearsall in 3 receiver leagues without question. Very similar to Egbuka. 2 receiver leagues in a flex. He's probably in my lineup because I don't think I'm going to have much better flex options. Juwan Jennings is the perfect example of what you just brought up. He's somebody that I would like to take a wait and see approach. Hopefully he's going to be out there playing his normal allotment of snaps based on the receiver injuries and suspension for Demarcus Robinson. They probably need Jennings to play his normal allotment of snaps, plus his player incentive contract. He wants to be out there, I'm sure, as much as possible. But I'd like to take a wait-and-see approach with him. Hopefully he comes out and has a big game. But for this week, really, it's just Pearsall in terms of the receiving corps.
All right, we got Minnesota at Chicago. Rank the flex options in this game, Dave, after Justin Jefferson.
Oh, boy. I don't want to forget anybody. I would say that the Vikings running backs would be up there. DJ Moore and PPR would probably be ahead of them.
I got DeAndre Swift. You got Aaron Jones. You've got Moore, Odunze.
Jones 1, Swift 2, DJ Moore 3,
Hawkins
Odunze 4.
There, doesn't he?
Odunze 4, Hawkinson 5.
Yeah. You know what? I think Hawkinson might be like the best one of the group.
Zacchaeus 6, Thielen 7, Loveland 8.
I needed to know where you put Zacchaeus. Hawkinson 1, Aaron Swift 2, Jones 3, Odunze 4, Mason 5, Loveland 6. I don't need to keep going.
Okay, Giants at Commanders. I thought about this for a game of the week. Total homer game of the week pick. I thought about it. Do you trust the running backs in this game, Tracy and any of the Commanders guys?
I'd be okay with Tracy, but that's it. It's starting to sound like the Commanders don't have like a firm plan on they might have a plan on like which running backs to use in certain situations. Like Eckler's an easy one to figure out, but I don't know if Krosky Merritt is going to be 15 carries. I think Rodriguez is going to get in there. I wonder if McNichols gets in there a little bit. And I think they kind of feel their way through knowing that they've just got a good combination of running backs that they can lean on.
Would you start Tyrone Tracy or Ricky Pearsall and Mecca Ibuka?
The 2 receivers.
I think the only way that even comes close is if it's non-PPR.
Oh, okay.
I don't mind Eckler as a high-end flex. I think Dave's right. The other guys are going to be a little bit of a mix and match until they figure out what they want to do there. But for this week, it feels like as long as Eckler's healthy, you kind of have to assume somewhere around 10 touches. I'm sorry, 10 carries, excuse me, and probably 3 to 5 catches. So I would ballpark it at like 15 total touches for him. And this Giants defense, because of their pass rush, there's going to be a lot of dump-off opportunities for Eckler in the passing game.
Well, just to bring it up, I think he averaged 5 carries per game when Brian Robinson Jr. was healthy.
But this is, I think, a different situation, though. At least the early part of the season. Like, I agree with you.
Until they figure out what they've got.
Yeah, once they figure out, like, that guy, then fine. 5 carries is probably realistic. I think until we figure out that guy, you want to ballpark it, let's say 8. Like, I would think not more than 10 carries for Eckler because I don't think they want to overwork him at 30 years old.
Houston's at the Rams. You starting anyone other than Nico Collins for Houston?
No.
You'd have to be desperate to start Chubb, Schultz, Higgins. Stroud's okay in a super flex.
Arizona's at New Orleans. How are you feeling about Chris Olave?
I kind of like him.
Big rankings discrepancy here for you guys. Jamey's got him like 42 or something, and Dave somewhere around 28. I don't remember, but it's a big gap on a
close
lot.
29, but definitely in the flex conversation for me.
I want to see what this offense looks like. Listen, you can call Olave a starter in 3 or 4 leagues. I think that's fine because where he was drafted. Shaheed, similar situation. If you want to throw him out there, but it's week 1. Like Olave, okay. Shaheed probably shouldn't be in a lot of lineups right now.
Mm-hmm.
They could, but one or both can go off. You're still talking about Spencer Rattler, who was bad last year. You're talking about Shaheed was outperforming Olave last year when they were both healthy. I don't know. It just feels like, let me see what this Saints offense looks like before I say must start for any of these guys.
I wouldn't blame you if you benched either of those guys for those reasons. And I'm not stumping for Shaheed. I think he's a sleeper this week. I think he's an interesting DFS play. But Olave, just the fact that he's lining up everywhere, I feel like he'll be the primary target for Rattler. I think Rattler can complete a pass inside of 15 yards. And I think they're going to be trailing. And I think Arizona's secondary is still a huge question mark.
All right, that's one question for each game.